Joining us from Capitol Hill to discuss the resolution in today's vote is Republican Congressman Jim Banks of Indiana, member of the House Armed Services Committee, Veterans Affairs, and Education and Labor Committees. Thank you so much for joining us, Congressman. We really appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
Absolutely. So, Congressman, tell us just your reaction to this, to the vote on this. I mean, I've seen Republicans come out and say this is still not a procedural fix to what was fundamentally an unfair process. What are your thoughts on the matter?
Well, we could get bogged down in the details, but it's pretty clear to me, it's pretty clear to so many of my constituents in Indiana that this is a make-it-up-as-you-go process, and it's been a long time coming. You've had Democrats from day one of this Congress say that they want to impeach this president. The Democrats have been in search of reasons to impeach the president all the while moving the impeachment process forward. So we'll see what they come up with next, but today's vote is largely a formality. It will be a party line vote, which is what is most disappointing about it. If there were high crimes and misdemeanors that warrant the extraordinary process and procedure of impeaching a president, we should know what those high crimes and misdemeanors are, but at this point that's still a mystery.
Congressman, I would actually like to get a little bit into the weeds with you here. I mean, just lay on for us what you think. There's been a lot of critique of the process. What would you like to see that is different from how the Democrats are proposing conducting this thing here?
Well, this is an extraordinary situation. I mean, the Constitution lays out high crimes and misdemeanors as justification to impeach a president. And the two times that this has happened in American history, a third time that it almost happened, there were high crimes and misdemeanors that were laid out before the Congress, laid out before the American people to warrant even moving forward with the process, much like what they're attempting to do with the vote today. So we're still in search of that, and that's the significant underlying issue that warrants the scrutiny of the American people that the Democrats are receiving as we hold a significant and historic vote today. But today, what the vote will do is it will give so much, if not the greater amount of the authority of this process to Chairman Adam Schiff and the House Intelligence Committee, and that deserves a lot of scrutiny too. Why are we giving all of this authority to the Intelligence Committee rather than the Judiciary Committee, which historically has held the authority over the impeachment process when it's happened the 2 or 3 times before? So
you'd prefer to see Chairman Nadler essentially presiding over these hearings than Chairman Schiff?
Well, it's not a preference for one or the other. My preference is that we wouldn't put the American people through what we're about to put them through. But it's pretty clear that Democrats don't want to put Chairman Nadler, for whatever reason, whether it's for political reasons or personal reasons, they don't want to put Chairman Nadler as the face of the impeachment process. They're preferring to give that power and authority to Chairman Schiff instead. That's a big question mark as to why, but it's a question that the Democrats should be answering.
That is actually particularly interesting, Congressman. I also do want to ask you about, I mean, are you worried about the political motivations of some of these aides that have been coming up to testify before Congress, including the whistleblower himself, a CIA employee, and then some of the NSC staff that it seems clear were contradicting the president and working in order to add some new words into this transcript? Are you worried about their political motivations, sir?
Well, these are juicy tidbits, and it's hard to keep up with them day by day, but the background of the whistleblower, the background of others who have come forward is relevant. It deserves to be aired in the public. The public deserves to know where these allegations are coming from and the motivations behind them. And that's why secretive, behind closed doors, private committee hearings is very unhealthy for this process. It's very unhealthy for the institution. And it's not at all what the American people deserve. They deserve to know the facts. And if we are going to move our country forward with such a perilous, dividing narrative like an impeachment process, the American people deserve to have a transparent process all the way through. That's not what they're going to get, unfortunately, which is the vote today is going to provide.
And Congressman, what do you make of the underlying allegations? Because we do have a transcript. I mean, some of the little words are in doubt, but we have a transcript. It doesn't look great for the president. You've got a few people out there saying, yes, this military aid was tied to some sort of an investigation of Joe Biden. I mean, if that is proved true, do you find those allegations, do you find the underlying conduct troubling, even if it doesn't get you to that place of impeachment?
Well, if this is about quid pro quo, there's no quid in the quid pro quo if Ukraine ultimately received the aid, which they did. I serve on the Armed Services Committee. I've been to Ukraine. I'm an advocate for more support for Ukraine as they fight against Russian aggression and the Russian invasion into Ukraine. And this president has a strong track record, a stronger one certainly than the most previous president in providing aid to Ukraine. Even after the phone call, more aid was provided to Ukraine. So if there's no quid in the quid pro quo, I'm not sure what the high crime or misdemeanor or what the impeachable offense is at this point that we would move the country forward. I mean, I hearken back to the Russian collusion, the narrative, the Mueller report. Those issues were a lot more complicated, and the allegations there were a lot more serious on the surface than anything that we're dealing with this phone call related to aid to Ukraine. So again, I know I'm oversimplifying it, but what we have to get back to is where is the high crime and misdemeanor that justifies impeaching a president and undoing the will of the American people through the election process. We're 1 year away. 1 year from next week, we will have an election and the American people can speak for themselves. Why would we take that away from the American people and go through an impeachment process instead? That's what the Democrats deserve to answer.
You know what Democrats would say, what a lot of people I think in the country would say is like Republicans will just go along with whatever this guy does. I mean, the president himself said he could, shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't matter. No one would change their minds. Has he done anything that's troubling to you? Is there a line for you that this president could cross?
Show me a high crime and misdemeanor, I'll be a lot more open to talking to you about moving forward with the impeachment process. But as of today, we don't have a high crime or a misdemeanor to talk about that warrants impeaching the president. I mean, that's the bottom line. This president has a strong track record on the economy. I've served on the Armed Services Committee and seen this president firsthand work to rebuild the military. We have a stronger national defense than what we did 3 years ago when the president took over. He has a strong track record to talk about as he moves into the 2020 election. That's what this should be about. It should be about a president going to the voters and asking to be reelected and giving the voters the opportunity to decide if they like him or not. And that for the Democrats, that's what this comes back to. They don't like the president. That's not a justification or purpose to impeach him. Show me the high crimes and misdemeanor, and we can talk about what warrants moving forward. Today, we don't have that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Congressman. We really appreciate it.
Great to have you.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Yeah.